dialing the phone. And as I watched him dial the phone, my phone rang. He was calling me to tell me what had just happened and ask what he should do. And then a year later, I was with him on 9/11. Not with him, I was near him on 9/11, when he got a phone call. His oldest son was just 6.
So yes, folks, I believe it's time for President Biden to do more for the American people, send out stimulus payments for the people, and let's see what he can do for the American people in stimulus. We have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SDI. Continue watching this video because you guys don't want to miss out on this. We got a ton of news on what to do for this. Serious debates over Social Security are happening, and the lawmakers are unexpectedly proposing new Social Security reform plans. Many are urging that Joe Biden prevent the lawmakers from making any new changes to programs like Social Security. Even the former vice president said today that the cuts to Social Security and Medicare should be on the table for the long term, making him different from the former president as he considers a run for the Oval Office. But during an interview with CNBC, we are looking at that crisis in this country. Over the next 25 years, that is driven by entitlements, and nobody in Washington, D.C. wants to talk about it. The former president has positioned himself as a defender of Medicare and Social Security, and he's doing so again as he seeks a return to the presidency. So while folks, his annual budgets include proposals to reducing Medicare spending, they primarily targeted provider payments rather than benefits, and his efforts to limit Social Security spending were aimed at cutting directly benefits, not checks for retirees. So now it is encouraged, AARP has encouraged its members aged 55 and older to send a message to Joe Biden. The message is to urge Congress to keep their hands off Social Security and Medicare. According to the bill, the senior vice president of government affairs at AARP has a response that has been overwhelming, with about 82,000 people sending letters in the past week. It's good to see that people are trying to work together to get the American people to send out stimulus checks and to get the people the money they deserve. Because, folks, it is definitely possible for Joe Biden to do this. There's no excuse for him. Now, the future of Medicare and Social Security have increasingly come up in debate around that ceiling. It's up to Congress to agree to raise or eliminate that ceiling to prevent an unprecedented default on the country's debt. As part of the negotiations, though, lawmakers may look to cut the costs. Nancy Pelosi, Kevin McCarthy have vowed to keep the changes to Social Security and Medicare off the table. But the House Republicans have called for cuts to the program, like raising the retirement age or changing the way the annual Social Security COLA is calculated. Now, those changes may not be included in the debt ceiling negotiations, but it's possible, because efforts to create commissions to examine the programs may move forward as part of a deal, which has set off a vigorous debate. And that would include Social Security pension disability, Medicare Part A, highway trust funds, and things like that. Social Security's trust funds are projected to pay full benefits until 2035, at which point just 80% of the monthly checks will be payable. Because Medicare's Part A trust fund will cover hospital care, it's projected to pay benefits fully until 2028, at which point 90% of benefits will be payable. Because another bill, the bipartisan Social Security Commission Act, would seek to form a temporary commission to address solvency of the program's funds under the expedited procedures. Whether such committees are going to be necessary to shore up the trust funds is a topic of fierce debate among the experts. But one thing I know for sure is that Joe Biden can do something for the people. He can't get the stimulus out there if he wants to.
Jobs, they're real jobs, man. It means we created more jobs in 2 years than any presidential term in American history. Not just created, but you created it. You did it. The unemployment rate of 3.4%, as I said, is a 50-year low. 800,000 manufacturing jobs.
She now qualifies for a $1,400 check. With the first 2 rounds of checks, it didn't matter if you were struggling to pay your own way through college, as long as you were claimed as a dependent and were aged 17 to 21, no stimulus for you. Couple of catches. 1, the money goes to mom and dad, not you. And 2, if they earn more than $160,000 a year combined, you still won't qualify.
Everybody, Joe Biden is taking action for the people. He's urging that companies lower the prices for everyday necessities. He also said that for gas and groceries, things need to be cheaper. So, President Biden also is trying to pursue higher taxes on oil companies and their profits, as if the industry giants.
Detail those actions in a moment, but first, let's talk about how we got here. It all started at our nation's southern border, when Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, made the despicable decision to load migrants onto buses and ship them out to score cheap political points, treating these individuals as pawns. Since that time, the state has deployed enormous resources toward New York City's valiant efforts to shelter and support these nearly 100,000 migrants who have already arrived here. The reality is, we've managed thus far without substantive support from Washington. And despite the fact that this is a national, indeed an inherently federal issue. But New York has shouldered this burden for far too long. Since the first migrants began arriving at the Port Authority bus terminal last year, city and state have poured tremendous funds, billions of dollars, and energy into helping them. The city has been helping by the state to manage this in partnership with our state legislature, and in our budget we allocated over $1 billion, now upwards of $1.5 billion, for providing shelter, National Guard, public health, transit, case management, and legal services to asylum seekers, especially the housing. That's in addition to the over 200 shelters and hotels that are stood up by the City of New York with some financial support from the state. But now, many of you are starting to see open space turn into enormous temporary shelters, buses arriving at hotels in several upstate counties. And undoubtedly, you have many questions. Why are they coming? Why New York City? Why are these large shelters being built? And will they move to communities throughout the entire state of New York? The bottom line is you're wondering, what does this mean for me and my community? And what are our government leaders doing to address it? Exactly 2 years ago today, I became your governor. I work every single day on your behalf to address the issue.
Shocking news, Joe Biden's new financial relief plan has been unveiled, and it includes a cost that taxpayers will have to pay billions of dollars towards in order for these stimulus checks to be financed. So people can be getting stimulus payments, everybody, very, very soon. If you want to receive these stimulus payments, well, let's see what Joe Biden says about this. Both members and chambers of lawmakers have unanimously stayed approved, and now they're saying there's a program designed to significantly reduce property tax bills for seniors. There are lingering doubts about the program's survival until the awards start being distributed in the next 3 years. Also, everybody, it's called the Stay in New Jersey program. It's for New Jersey homeowners ages 65 and above, offering them tax credits that could cover up to half of the property tax bills with a cap of $6,500. It applies as long as the homeowner's annual income doesn't exceed $500,000. The cap on the relief will be adjusted in line with property tax bills, and the program's estimated cost stands at $1 billion when payouts begin in the first quarter of 2026. But some advocates and Republican officials have raised concerns about whether these awards will ever be realized, and specific provisions in the bill have halted payments. If the state fails to meet its commitments regarding school aid and pension payments, then it's designed for seniors and military veterans only. Moreover, state New Jersey program payments will be obstructed if the state is unable to make them while maintaining a surplus equivalent to 12% of annual spending. Some Republicans argue that these conditions, combined with a recent dip in New Jersey's revenue, virtually ensure that the New Jersey payments will never be made. Others criticize the $500,000